My name is Raj Mandal, and I am working with TRACI to introduce the topic of faith at work. Many times, as Christians, we don't keep them connected. We live our weekdays from Monday to Friday or Saturday. That is our earning our livelihood, engaged in our respective profession, a work sphere that we have chosen. And that is something that we do perhaps to earn our bread in the common expression. And then Sunday, we are part of a community called church, and where we express our faith, we profess our faith, and some of the beliefs that we hold, and we receive teaching on those. But often the teachings that we receive in the church do not connect to what we do on the rest of the week. And likewise, we keep them separate as if in two different compartments. And we live our lives in one way from Monday to Friday or Saturday. And we have a different set of life on Sundays. And in between, maybe if we have some other activities, then on the weekdays also we may bring in our church life into the weekdays. But usually they go like two parallel railway track. They don't meet. So today's topic would like to explore what it means to express or what it means to live out our faith in the places of our work. How do we integrate the two? How do we see that is part of us as one person who we are? We have Jenny is a research scholar. So she is doing research, her PhD research in Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai. She has done her master's in social work, and she lives in Mumbai and is engaged in fostering political approaches that promote social justice. That is what she shared in her bio, but she will tell more what that means. And we were interested to learn more from her for her active engagement, political engagement. And this is one area we recognize as Christians, we are not very active. So we want to learn and hear more from her how she has been engaging in this particular area of conscientizing people towards greater political involvement and awareness. So we welcome you, Jenny. Thank you for joining. Jenny, you are somewhere in between. Like you are yet still kind of perhaps charting your path as a research scholar and what you would finally be doing for your life sustenance and as your life vocation. So I think at this point, you also represent a very significant population of our country, the youth, the students, and the students' unrest, student unemployment, all kind of issues are there, which we are also hearing and reading much. But at this point where you are in a couple of months or a year or so, you will be moving into that particular your career vocation. So tell us about your journey, how you led to this study, research, and what you are currently doing, your areas of research, if you are, and any other engagements that you have, as we have heard about you in terms of the politics and helping people towards a better understanding of politics, etc. Would you like to share?
Yes. So basically, I have done my graduation in computer science. And when I was doing computers, I realized this was not something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Okay. So I basically made a change in direction after I finished my graduation. And I decided to do masters in social work because from a very young age, I was always very interested in development issues, issues of social justice. So someone suggested to me, why don't you pursue a future in this? So I did my master's in social work. And after that, for 8 years, I was working in a women's organization and I was heading a department on gender-based violence. Okay, so that dealt with issues of domestic violence, with rape, violence against children. So all this came under the purview of the cases that we were handling, our department was handling on a daily basis, and which is what led me to pursue my PhD. So my PhD is on domestic violence in the Christian community in Mumbai. So that's what took me there. And in the years that I have worked, so like I mentioned, I have worked for this organization heading the department on gender-based violence. Apart from that, I have also worked for a funding organization, and that organization took me to all the remote parts of many states in India. And I really loved, I mean, I really love working in this sector. I mean, I could really imagine myself doing this for the rest of my life. So that was another opportunity I got. The third place I have worked is I have worked in the corporate social responsibility department, which also kind of works like a funding organization. So these are the three places I have worked. But it was my first place of work, which I was for the longest period of time for 8 years, which led me to the PhD that I'm doing. Now, with regard to what you're asking about political engagement, I see that development work and issues of social justice is very central to who I am as a person. And I like to align with any people group, any community that works towards that end. So it's not like a job. Okay, I'm working here, therefore I do this. It's just who I am as a person. So because of that, because of this alignment that I have, because of this interest that I have sought out and I am very connected to organizations in Mumbai that work on the issues of social justice. I am also connected to organizations that would have political affiliations, but are basically working on issues and not typical political work that is only interested in elections or campaigning, but those who are genuinely interested in causes of the people and in giving power to the powerless, which is what actually politics ideally should be.
Mhm.
Yes, so yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny, for sharing that. You changed direction in between your pursuing your study courses. And one very important thing you highlighted is choosing not just a career, but a vocation, life vocation, based upon who you are as a person. And I think that is one area we would like to explore a little more, because this relates to understanding the world in which we live and what is my place in it. How do I relate to this world based upon what God has made me, the passions that He has given me, the gifts He has given? So, this is one area we especially want our younger people to reflect upon those. So, I think your sharing is going to be very, very helpful and interesting. So, Jenny, I would like you to take back to the course that you completed. So, because for some of our listeners, they would be interested to learn some of your learning insight. So, what has been some of your key learning from this course on faith and active citizenship? And what are some of your takeaways? Would you like to share with our listeners?
Yes. So many things were really beneficial in the course. Just to name a few things, what I liked the best was the kind of speakers that were brought in for the course. I felt they were very specifically selected, and they were people who used their faith and their understanding of the Bible, of the to fuel what they were doing. So it was not just that they were knowledgeable about a topic. I felt all the speakers that were brought in were those who used this as fuel. So I really liked that. That was my favorite thing about the course. The second thing which I really liked about the course was that how of the understanding that doing all types of work is integral to what God has called us to do. So even working on the issue of social justice is integral to what God has to do, and not a very narrow understanding of, okay, just for example, just teaching the Bible, which is very important, but also serving people, but also acting as a messenger of justice, also being a representative in areas where we are underrepresented. So all this is very integral to our faith. So this was the second thing I really enjoyed about the course. And of course, I really appreciate, this is the first TRACI course that I've attended. Something that I mentioned during our closing session also is I really appreciate the thought that is put into the course. I feel it is very well organized, whether it is the speakers, whether it is the breakout session that happens after each class, even something small as making sure there are women in each group in the breakout session, whether it is assignments. I feel so much thought goes into it. And I feel when an organization puts so much effort, I feel those who have applied take note of that and then take the course more seriously. So I feel the response that the participants of the course had is also a reflection of how we noticed how seriously you all are taking this, the dedication that is going in, the efforts that are going in. So that was also definitely a learning for me of whatever we do really well. And that's what brings in the best result. So, yes.
Thanks, Jenny, for doing some promotional for the TRACI courses. As we appreciate that as we launch the next course on gender and biblical equality. So some of our listeners, if you are interested, you are most welcome to register for that course. I want to ask this question to you. So many what we have observed, I think all of us will agree with that, that Christians have largely stayed away from engagement in active politics. So in your observation, what are some of the reasons for this, and why do you think it is important that Christians should be more actively involved in politics or play the role of an active citizen?
So I think there are some people who have, not only in the Christian community, among all communities, where unfortunately the goal is only um, material gain. We want to get into a financially better place. It's very unfortunate, but a lot of young people, that's it. That's life. That's the goal of life. So I think that is one reason, because if that is the goal of life, then this would not be a logical path to take. Although people say, okay, politicians are very rich and all, but even after saying that, they wouldn't think, okay, if I want to do materially well, this is the path. They will say, okay, let's study, let's do a business. So I think that's one of the reasons. Secondly, there are people who are interested, but they genuinely don't know what to do. I think there are a lot of people just not connected to any sort of network, just alone trying to figure things out. So I think that's another thing. I think the third thing, very unfortunately, is identity. That in a country that looks at politics as a very identity based politics, there is a worry that Christians have that, okay, being a Christian, my community is not large enough in numbers, and therefore will I ever find space in what is community based politics, which is very sad, because it stops people from imagining that that could ever be their future, no matter how excellent they are at it, which I feel is very sad. And I think that would be a loss to the nation. So I mean, no matter, I understand the difficulty of that question, but I feel we should still not allow that to settle in. Because if we allow that thought to settle in, I think we are pretty much closing the door. Um, these are some of the things I can think of. One last thing is, I think a lot of Christians are very engaged in social work and charity based work, which is great. I think also the Christian community is known for doing things like this, having NGOs and all this. There is another type of work which also political work requires, which is also bringing structural change, activism, which sometimes people could shy away from. Maybe, like Ravli said, one of the reasons is they want to stay away from the spotlight. Whatever the reason may be, people shy away from that kind of larger work, which is bringing structural changes, which is being an activist, leading people movements. I feel we don't see enough names in work areas like that, which is also, I feel, little more political work rather than typical charity work. So, yeah, these are some of the points I can think of.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Yeah, you also highlighted some very crucial areas which have been the reasons. So thank you very much. One word, saying what are your joys and satisfaction in your work. So one or two words you can just say.
So two quick points. So one is, I don't see myself as a person who's purely helping others. I see that in whatever I do, I get a joy when somebody else attains a place of freedom, attains a place of liberation, because my liberation, my freedom, my joy is connected to theirs. So as they benefit, I benefit. So that's one of the things I like, because it's always very much a two-way process for me. Secondly, one of my favorite verses in the Bible, it's in Matthew chapter 5. It says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." So I think that is also one, like a motto sentence for me, because I feel blessed by doing any work that brings some sort of peace.
Yeah. I have come across people who say, well, you are in a sector serving people, fighting for justice, but you don't share the gospel. So, what good is it at the end of the day? How do we navigate this path in vocation, especially while working in the social sector? Yeah.
I don't have a, at least I try my best to always be aware that I don't have a dichotomy between these two things. I genuinely have a faith in Christ. I believe in the Bible. Jesus is a role model to me. So I do share my faith. I do share my faith. I'm not silent about it. Everybody who knows me in the church would know that I'm a person who cares a lot for social justice, and that I love Christ. Anyone who knows me outside the church will know that I'm a person who fights for social justice and I'm a person who loves Christ. I don't separate these, because I feel that it's not genuine to who I am as a person. I can't let a person know only half of me, maybe the half of me that they would like better. But I can't afford to do that. If they have to know me, they have to know all of me, and they have to accept me for all of me.
Thank you. I think that's a good place to end our this your sharing.